Well, hello, shiny, crafty people. You may have recently heard that the recommendations are to no longer wear cloth masks, instead to wear these KN95 type masks that have a specific material. And while these are definitely more efficient and they have been proven in tests to be better for you in terms of mask filtration and other things, they just really aren't that pretty. But what if I could turn that mask into something cute? Something pretty with little llamas on it. What if we could do that? Well, today we can, because in fact, this is a cover for a KN95 mask with your own elastic, so you can make it as long as you want it. Look at that. Isn't that a lot cuter and just as efficient? So why don't you join me here down at the cutting table, and I'll show you what it takes to make one of these amazing mask covers. So to make this, we're gonna need some fabric. I have these two fabrics that I think are go cute together. I'm gonna need some elastic, because I'm gonna add my own elastic to it with some little toggles to let them be adjusted. You'll need the KN95 mask that you're planning to use to get your template off of and to wear underneath this. You'll need some pins and clips and a pen and a piece of paper so you can really start doing your design. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out of the way, and I'll show you. The first thing we need to do is draw our pattern. So I'm going to take this KN95 mask, and what's fun about this is I'm going to use the fold. I'm going to use this part as the fold of my fabric. And so what I can then do is come in and measure, draw around this. So we're going to draw and then add a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or a tiny bit more than that. So I will trace around this mask. So that recognizes this is the fold of the fabric right here. And if you want, you can get your cutting material, your cutting thing here to draw these lines a little more straight if you're a little bit concerned. I like a nice straight line. And then what I will do is I need to mark on this sort of where the, I don't need to mark where the elastic's gonna go, because in fact, I'm gonna take the elastic out. If you were gonna do one where this elastic would still go through it, you'd wanna leave some openings here and here as you did that, but I'm not gonna worry about that, because we're gonna sort of treat these like they're gonna get cut off or left inside, so we don't use them. These cut my my circulation on my ears off, and so I don't think these are long enough elastic for me. And then some people need them to go even smaller, so I like the idea of just being able to forget their elastic that's on there and have the more comfort of the one I'm gonna make. Now I am gonna write here that this is the nose section. And now what I have to do is I need to mark on here, I need to mark my 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. Not on the fold, obviously, though. So I'm just gonna put a 1/4 inch mark right on that line and draw around it. Okay. And then same thing on this side, I'll do the same thing over here. That 1/4 inch line, I'm going to the 1/4 inch line on my measuring tool. And then if you want, you can go around and just mark a 1/4 inch extra in a couple locations around here so that you know how far that is. And that's gonna be my 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now I can pretty much eyeball it, so I'm not gonna worry too much about doing that. And then you just kind of connect them all together. Make as many marks as you think you need to properly get that 1/4 inch look. Okay, so there we go. This is the outside line that we're gonna cut. Now, the other thing we have to do with this is we have to make another piece of this, right? We're gonna have to do another one because we need to make our piece that's gonna go inside, that's gonna hold this material in. What I mean is we're gonna have our own elastic on the outside of this. So we need some kind of piece of material on the inside that this will tuck into. So I'm just gonna copy this piece right here. And in fact, I'll get an older rotary cutter. I just happen to have a paper blade in here. And really, there's not a special kind of blade. There's not like, they don't call them paper blades, but these are ones that are just old in our workshop. So we use older ones to be that, to be used for paper. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that thing out of there. So now I have my design so far. All right, now that I've cut my design out, The nose is up there, although it's upside down for you. I will decide how am I going to do my my piece that's going to go over. So this will be literally out of fabric, and it'll go over this thing. But then I need to have something that'll go over inside here to hold another piece of fabric that will hold those together, right? So I don't want to go all the way to the point because then it wouldn't fit inside here. And my nose is there, so I only really need to go about this far over on the inside. So that's about, let's see if I measure over with my thing. It's about 1.5 inches or so. So I'm going to redraw this right here. I'm just drawing right around the outside of it. Okay. And this is sort of the center mark. If I folded that in half, we'd get sort of the center mark is there. And I need to go over about 1.5 inches. And then I'll just, using that line, and I am going to make a nice version of this for you. You can, that'll be on in the description down below. So if you look down below in the description, you'll see. So then that's about 1.5 inches, but I might want to add myself 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'll do that now. Okay, so this is the piece. I'll go ahead and cut this out while I still have my paper blade in here. Now remember, this is using the same mark as here. So in fact, there would be our stitching line as 1/4 inch. And you'll see on the actual one I'm going to create, there would be 1/4 inch on the inside. I think some people are probably surprised to learn that I don't, that you kind of, a lot of times when I'm making these videos, you get to follow along with me as I'm doing it. So that'll be our 2 pieces that we're going to create. These are our 2 pattern pieces. Now I want my 2 pattern pieces to go with, I want to make sure that the fabric I use, remember I'm going to do the one on the fold. I want to make sure the 2 pieces that I use, I know where my fabric is. So I want this in the cute fabric. This little paper still left on that one. I don't know how that didn't come off in the wash. We'll go somewhere else on this fabric. So I want this piece that's going to do, remember it's got a fold, so it's got to be cut on the fold. And I want to make sure that it's inside and out. I want to be able to have pretty fabric inside and out. So I'm going to go ahead and fold it here to make sure that look at this, to make sure that I get that material. So this is on the fold, and this is the fold. Now I'm going to make sure I hit all of the pieces in there. And then you can either mark this with a pen and then cut it, however you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it this way. I'm going to go ahead and cut it out. But you may want to use, and you know what, I think I went back to I'm still on my paper cutter. But it's actually working, so it's not terrible. We tend to change out blades pretty quickly in my workshop because we really don't want on our products that we make for funeral homes around the country, we don't really want to ever have a misstep. So we change blades pretty quickly, quite often. So they're probably still decent blades, and we could just get a little more use out of them. But we do set them aside and use them for projects that don't require such care. All right. So there are our 2 pieces for the inside, right? This one will go on the inside. This fabric will be outside. The other thing you'll notice, I made sure that the nose was going to be accurate for the way that the material needs to stand. So I want the cute little llamas to be, at the upward. So I made sure the nose was there at the top. So those pieces are done, but I also want to make sure that I make this little piece in the same way. And this is actually really good. You can get this while it's still, you could do it while it's still folded, but I may just throw it on here. And again, we'll look at this and we'll kind of decide which way was the nose. Did it matter? That's how it best fits. So the nose is at this end, and I'll write nose end here just so I know. Okay. I'll still do it on the fold, but I'll come off just enough so that I can still cut that whole space there. Let's cut this piece out. And again, you could just draw this on, you do what's most comfortable for you. I'm very comfortable cutting 4 layers at a time here like this, but you might not be. And if you aren't, do not worry yourself. Just do it what is best for you. All right, so now what I have is a set of those pieces here and a set of the piece here. Let's go to the sewing machine and I'll show you what we need to do to go forward. All right, so I'm using a contrasting black thread, but you might want to pick a thread that matches what you're doing. For these little tiny pieces, we're going to sew along the edge here at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, right along the straight edge. Because that's the edge that's going to be kind of open, right? We did one. Let's do the other one. And I'm using kind of what you might call a scant 1/4 inch. I'm making sure that I do not go over a 1/4 inch at all. So if anything, I'm going kind of inside of a 1/4 inch a little bit. I have those two. It's kind of been funky here at the top of this. But you know what? That's going to kind of be okay. I think we'll find out in a minute when we try to put the whole thing together. Okay, straighten that out. And then we really can't sew this together until we have these flipped to go inside, because they have to go in here, but they have to be turned. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take them to the iron real quick and just flatten these out and turn them right here and turn them properly inside out. But they'll basically look like this when they're ready to go in, and then they'll get placed right inside here. So let me go do that real quick. I'll be right back. So what I've done is just sort of set the seam, opened it, flattened it open. Ooh, let me see if I can get that to do it right. I use a lot of steam. I love steam. I love steam. Then we have to fold it back on itself. So I'm going to fold that back over and line those up. You're going to see there's some little tails sticking out. That's fine. Once we get these handled, I'm going to put them inside. Let's go back over to the sewing machine. So here we go. I'm going to lay these inside like this. And I'm putting the like material against the like material, see? There. And actually what I need to do before I do this part is I need to sew these pieces together. So let's do that first. I'll get rid of these. And then I'm going to go ahead and leave these together and sew along the top and the bottom. We have to get that done for our seamed piece here, see? So let's do that. Now you have a couple ways you can do this. I like to start where the two fabrics come together. Right here where the two fabrics come together. Because I don't want to start off of that where the fold is. And again, scant 1/4 inch, meaning I'm not trying to take more than a 1/4 inch. In fact, I'd like to take a little less than a 1/4 inch if I can help it, just so that we make sure, because this is going to be outside of another mask and they're really close together in size, right? So I've got those two pieces done. Ta-da! That'll open. And then we'll do the same thing on this other fabric, the outer fabric. Now you could go this way. You could do on the fold and go in. Just again, be very careful that you're getting all the way to the point, and you want to make sure that you're taking a scant 1/4 inch, not a full 1/4 inch, a scant 1/4 inch. All right, now we have a couple things we have to do. We have to cut some elastic. Now I like to cut my elastic at least 8 inches long. So I'm going to cut a couple pieces of this elastic at about 8 inches long. And I like to also make sure that after I cut my elastic that I know I'm going to put the little toggles on. So just cut it bigger than you need. If you think, oh, I need at least a 7-inch piece of elastic, cut it 8. Who cares? You're going to use those little toggles and make it more comfortable for you later. and it's gonna work. So I have my 2 pieces of elastic here. If I look at where the elastic comes out on this particular one, okay, so the elastic is coming. So I could just use this as my example and put a couple marks. I have a pencil here, and I'll just pencil in my marks for my elastic, right? And so I'm gonna take, for the first one, I'm gonna put my elastic against my outer fabric, okay? So I'm going to, let's do this on the actual table. It'll be a lot easier. So I'll open this up. It's going to be a little hard to open because, you know, these KN95 masks are pretty fun the way that they fit on like that. So let me fold this top one back and so you'll see it easier. I'm going to make sure I have all of my pieces, okay? All of these pieces. So I will use my measurement. I did do a mark on the outside of this, but honestly, there it is. Okay, that's the mark. Let me transfer that on the inside here too. Okay. So we make sure we put the elastic against the outside fabric. Remember, that's going to be the outside fabric. There's some clips here. If you want to see how I made this cool box, I'll put a link up in the description. I'll put a thing right up in the video here. It's cool. It's a pin cushion / clip. So we'll put that on just to hold it in place. Make sure it lays flat. Bring it around. All right, that's pretty good. So that one's on where it needs to be. We'll match the other side as well with our other piece of elastic. We knew it was here. I'm looking at the mark on the outside. I like to make sure it doesn't twist with this flat elastic, that I really like this flat jersey elastic. And I'll try to put the link in the description to where I buy my elastic as well, so you'll see it. All right, so those are in place. I'll just make sure that elastic is out of the way. The next thing I need to do is put the fold in there. I'm gonna lay that on there. And we're trying to like trap that inside. So then I'm gonna take my other piece, make sure it lined up with my pattern, and the nose was at this end, so this is the nose end. And I'm gonna lay it the right side in, okay? So I'll make sure that it matches at the very top. See where those pieces come together? Line that up exactly at the top. Put a clip on it. Gotta make sure that's clipped. And then, again, this has to still lay in here. Nice fabric against nice fabric. What I should do is, what you wanna do is hold all the pieces together and transfer your clip. Same thing here. Hold all your pieces together and transfer your clip. Okay, then I can bring this down and I will pin, not pin, but clip the bottom together. Same thing, making sure that they line up. Clip those. All right, then I'll make sure the sides line up. Transfer my clip again, all the way through. And then on the other side, I'll do the same thing. I'll open that up, make sure I push my elastic back through. Make sure this elastic is inside as well. I don't want to stitch through the elastic except at these points, right? Same thing here, I'll lay this piece down. Now you could clip these little tails if you wanted to. You could just clip them in advance so you didn't see them. I don't have an issue with them, but if you thought they were in the way or something, you could clip them. Same thing down here. I'm going to make sure all these pieces go together. Clip through all those pieces and then come back and lay this orange piece down on top. Line it up. I kind of like to leave the clips because then they tell me where I have to make sure I go over that seam. that I really want to make sure I catch it properly. Now here, remember, I have elastic and a bunch of layers of fabric. So I'm going to hold the elastic with my finger before I transfer the clip over. And there we go. Our entire piece is pushed together. Oh, this didn't get clipped to all of them. There we go. Now I'm going to do a 1/4 inch seam allowance around this entire thing, but I'm going to leave an opening to where I can turn it. And I'll probably do that at one of the ends here because it's going to be, it says completely round, so it's a little bit funky to turn. In fact, I think I'll do it, I'm trying to decide, do I want to do it on a side? Because there's no real straight line here. But if anywhere there'd be a straight line, it would be on the side. So I think I will probably take my time and do it on the side over here. I'm going to add another clip to this because I want all those pieces really properly held together, and that was coming apart a little bit. All right, let's go to the machine and I'll show you how to sew this. Bringing this here to the machine, I am going to leave an opening just at the bottom, not at the nose, but at the bottom. So I will start more right here where this first of those return pieces, those flip pieces come over. I see the little nodule, so I can see that. And I am going to back stitch a little bit there, just make sure it really stays in. I'm going to use my needle in the down position so I can take the clips off, and then I'm going to make sure I hold all of that because remember I have all those different layers with the elastic and everything in there. Again, I'm using a very scant 1/4 inch. I'm not using a full 1/4 inch because when this thing goes together later, it's still got to fit around that other mask. And reality-wise, I probably could have given a little bit more than a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and it would have turned out maybe a little bit better. I've got something caught in here. Oh, I had some fabric, some thread caught. All right, I think the nose portion is probably the most important because it's very visible to people, so I'm going to be really careful as I go across the nose to make sure it's pointed properly, and it is. I'm still going around easily, and again, when I get to this point where all those materials come together and the elastic, which is almost there, I'm going to be real careful and hold my finger down right there where all that elastic and everything is as I take the clip off. And I'm following the top fabric rather than this extra piece that got sort of shoved out of there. I'm more worried about the top fabric. And then remember, I started here, right here where the little tail came out. I'm going to end at the other tail over there, just backstitch a little bit. It's going to make it a lot easier to turn. So there's all those pieces. Now, right now, if you wanted to, you could come back in and just trim those little pieces if you just didn't want them in there adding too much, you know, and any extra fabric you kind of get in the way. All right, so let's turn this thing inside out. We're ready to turn it inside out. I'm going to open up that piece that we left open and just push the entire thing through. It's kind of a birthing process, so to speak. And you'll see that it comes out with the elastic on the outside. That's important, so that these little turns are going to hold our fabric in, right? Are going to hold our other mask in. And you can sort of tug on the elastic a little bit if you want to. That one kind of got a little bit frayed. We're going to have to fix that in a little bit, but I am going to use this to show you how to put this together. Now, what I do want to do is go over to the iron and just give this a quick press so that it's ready to be top stitched. And we can close that opening. Let's go. Right, so here at the iron, I'm just going to use my iron to sort of flatten out all this material, and I'll even make sure I use it to fold this end that had the hole that we left to turn it. So I'll kind of get that stuff. I'll get a 1/4 inch seam allowance turned in there, and then use the iron to set that so that when I go to stitch, all of that will be laid flat. And this is a very curvy design, so you just have to be careful as you're ironing it. You want to iron it properly. Ooh. I'm just getting the edges flattened out. In fact, you can fold it in half if you want, like it would ship, and just give it a good press this way. All right, let's go top stitch it, and then we'll go from there. So when I top stitch this, I'm not going to top stitch these pieces flat because I want that material I want that to be able to go completely in, and if I top stitched it would close that. So I'm only going to top stitch these two sections. So I can do that literally by going in here and just going from that section. And you might want to use a matching thread for your material. I did this so you could really see it quite well, and we'll do the same thing here. And this one's going to close up that hole that we put in there. All right, we're just about finished. So what this has done is we've created our piece that if I literally, I'm going to just clip off of these. I'm going to clip these pieces of elastic off because I don't want them. They hurt my ears too much. And that allows me to push this inside, right? I just put it right inside there. Put the two ends underneath the edges right here. Tuck them inside. And now I have a cover for my KN95 mask. Now I will add some toggles. I'll just do two little white toggles would be easy. Adding the toggles is super simple. This one sent it with like this hairpin. You can put it out this way and literally that now makes it adjustable for my ears. Same thing on the other one. Go through, find sort of the center. It's almost on there. There we go. I bring it back a little bit because I don't need it to be too tight, but... And so now we have this cover. Let me show you what it looks like. And there's the cover on the KN95. I can put it on my face. Put those around. I still have the nose piece on the inside of it, but I have a much cuter cover for that. Now, let me just tell you, this is a KN95 mask. You can see why it's recommended by the CDC and others. It's a really good, strong mask material inside of there, right? I do like the fact that I literally have my own elastic so I can make it as long as I want. And none of these parts right here are touching my mouth area. And then it makes it much more flexible. What I also like, really, you can close this up and you're going to make sure that none of your interior pieces are at all exposed. You've really done a good job of getting that. So let me talk to you about ease to make. It wasn't that hard to make. I'd probably say it's about a 7 out of 10 in terms of ease to make. In terms of efficiency, I mean, we know that the KN95 masks are actually really good for you. And this now gives you not only the KN95, but 2 layers of fabric on the outside. So I'd say for efficiency, efficacy, I think this is probably a good 9 out of 10 at least. And then in terms of comfort, I mean, the KN95s aren't super comfortable, but what, for me at least, 'cause I got a big face, what it did for me is it let me have much longer elastic, or you could decide to do the elastic that goes around the top of your head because you're making a cover that fits you and it's being held on. I mean, I think it just works great. So in terms of comfort, I'm going to give it about 8 out of 10 on this design. If I added a little longer elastic or made a different kind for my head, it might be even more comfortable. So that is the KN95 removable cover that you can make for your KN95 masks. So thanks for watching. Until next time, please subscribe, like, it helps the channel and blah, blah, blah. You've heard all those things on YouTube videos, but it really does actually. We get seen by a lot more people if you do that. So please do that and enjoy making some covers for your KN95 mask. And until next time, stay crafty. Bye for now. Right now, I got to find a bunch of different fabrics I want to make because I can finally make cloth covers. Ugh.